Welcome back to News and Views. I'm Salailo Makwidiri, and we're going to be kickstarting the conversation with a headline, one that has sparked a lot of interest. President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced the launch of a national dialogue convention. It is set up for August the 15th, if I'm not mistaken. It's supposedly a flagship initiative that promises to forge a new social compact and redefine what it means to be South African in 2025. According to the presidency, this dialogue will develop a shared value system to unite a country fractured by inequality, high crime, unemployment, and political instability. The day to day challenges that you and I, lay men and women of South Africa, face. But that announcement has been made with widespread skepticism. Critics, including academics and civil society leaders, are calling it a top down, elite driven initiative that lacks transparency and inclusivity. There are no representatives from opposition political parties, DA, MK. Youth voices are also noticeably absent. So, are vocal civil society organizations and foundations linked to Nelson Mandela, Thabo Mbeki, and Ahmed Kathrada, all of whom, by the way, have criticized Ramaphosa's leadership. And while the panel of, eminent persons, as it was presented to be, includes, respected figures like Justice Edwin Cameron. There's the much loved Siya Kolisi, captain of the Springboks, and Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman of Gift of the Givers. Many argue that ordinary South Africans are being excluded from yet another national conversation about them, but without them. So, are we about to witness meaningful change or just another state sponsored spectacle doomed to gather dust on the shelves like previous summits and commissions? CODESA comes to mind. Joining me now is someone who has seen this country through struggle, through transition, and through disappointment, dare I say. Anti-Apartheid Stalwart, Youth Development Foundation leader, and respected civil society activist, Babu Seth Mazibuko is joining us to unpack all of this, and he's joining us via telephone. But Mazibuko, thank you so much for joining us. Really, really appreciate chatting to you, and it's an honor.
Good morning, and I appreciate this. Thanks for inviting me. And we are here to solve the problems of this country, if not us, who are.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think let's kickstart right there, Mr. Mazibuko. The president says this national dialogue will help define a new social compact and bring South Africans together using all kinds of beautiful, nice words. But critics say it's just another talk shop. What was your initial reaction to this announcement?
Just maybe even before we start, as we speak, as this announcement has just been made, the fire in Meadowlands in the township because of electricity. Now that's the voice of the people. And people now even believe that they're not being listened to. Government is talking to itself and to its own up there. It's the elitist thing that we saw in CODESA 1, 2, 3. And let me assure you, it was that CODESA that had people who were political elitists, lawyers and all that, black people, the poor, those that were supposed to be the subject of this of the day, were not there. They were just pulled aside and told after that there's a constitution. And it is that constitution that has not even, in many black people, my apologies, and a terrible flu. And it is that constitution that has not benefited the poor. That is why they're burning fires as we speak. And it is the poor, that are still in Cape Town, where the Freedom Charter was adopted. And for that matter, even the poor cannot even recognize a monument that is supposed to celebrate the Freedom Charter. And we are committing the same mistake, thinking that if we're celebrities, if we have rugby, the social cohesion, if we have Banyana, the social cohesion, we're dreaming. We are going to go into this elitist conversation. And let me tell you, we are going to call another one. Now, maybe it's 31 years, my brother, that we've been to this democracy. And we are not even saying this conversation should be reviewing the 31 years and improving. No, we are saying, no, how do we find each other to move forward? And all I'm asking is, when is South Africa going to listen to the poor? When is South Africa going to invite the poor around the table and say, let's talk? When? And we must come to a point at some point. And funny enough, I was laughing with another media company that interviewed me with the same issue, that the announcement happens on the month of June, so-called Youth Month. The announcement is being made a few days before June 16. And can I tell you, just a few days before the day, June 13th being the first day where students met for the first time and spoke in one voice. The poor students said, we are not going to take Africans anymore. And it was the poor children that met on that day. And I find it very interesting that the president then announces this just at the time. What is he telling us? Okay, all I'm saying in summary, my brother, we are going to another CODESA. When we started with CODESA, one thing that Afrikaners did in respect of their own people, de Klerk and both at that time called for a referendum to find out if people are agreeing to him calling a CODESA. We were not called. We were not consulted. We were just told there are people coming from exile with this name. There are people who are coming from wherever. They're going to be sitting in Captain Park and speaking and talking about you. And we're committing the same. It's getting people very angry, my brother. And that is where I'm coming from. This is brewing people's anger to extremes. And if we don't correct it, we will end up with serious problems in this country of undermining those that we think we're talking for. Thank you.
No, I think very, very pertinent points that you're making, particularly, when it comes to the youth. And I think it's really important that we expand a bit on that, considering the time of the year that we're in is Youth Month. And you yourself, you've long worked with youth empowerment and development. You are a youth struggle activist yourself. What message does it send to the country's young people when they are visibly absent from a conversation about their country's future, and their own lived current realities, never mind the future, are one that paint a really grim picture? I mean, unemployment amongst the youth is staggering, amongst the highest in the world. Our educational system is put into question. Drugs and alcohol abuse has been a big issue in our communities. I mean, it's mind-boggling, that you wouldn't have, a national dialogue, quote unquote, that is reflective of that, but would rather much focus on what I think has been a problem of South Africa's for a very, very long time. This euphoria, sugar rush, whether it's sports induced, like you mentioned with, Sia Kolisi and Banyana's coach Desiree Ellis being part of the panel, or it's new leadership induced, like the Ramaphosa era and the new government of national unity era that we've had. It looks like we're always looking for those moments, those short-lived highs that ultimately wear off, and we go back like a drug addict for another fix. And this national dialogue feels like that. It feels like a Rugby World Cup. It feels like a 2010 FIFA World Cup. It feels like Ramaphosa. It feels like the GNU.
Let me say something. 50 years of June 16 next year. We will be commemorating 50 years. And I spoke to young people I was speaking to young people just recently who were saying to me, 1976, we were out there in the street fighting apartheid. And we were talking issues education. We are talking issues decolonization of curriculum. We are talking free education there. But in the middle of our democracy, then we had Fees Must Fall. where have we benefited from your struggle, Mr. Mazibuko? Yes, you initiated this, and we then put in leaders that we think were listening to us or were us. But they brought us the fees must fall. And now, none of the fees must fall people, none of the June 16 leadership is sitting to talk and to negotiate and to speak about the future of this country. None. None. Instead, it's people who gained a lot from the blood, from the tree of liberation that you watered, you guys, with your blood. They've gained. They've got names. They've got big things, and we call them, we call them exponents of social cohesion. We call them big names. And at the end of the day, we are still the poor. Talking of the big matches that were seeking to unite the people. Go to any township and look what was then called, what is that big match, soccer, when soccer, the whole world came here.
The 2010 World Cup.
We flowered, we decorated every township. We cleaned up every township. We made it beautiful. Go back. Those townships, those things that were then put for World Cup, they are no more there. If they are, they're dilapidated. Typical South African style. We do it for the eyes of the people and the world, not for the people. We do it just that. And then we go out and use this and sell. Look how beautiful we are. Once we know we are covering the ugly. And we are doing the same thing, for goodness sake. Our children are still not receiving proper NSFAS allocation. Our children go and prostitute. Our children go to drugs. We give our children money out of what comes out of the bedroom instead of the boardroom. Our children are still sitting without proper education. Schools in the township, children are being raped there. Children are being, just as we speak, public transport, school transport is killing our children. Foreign nationals are killing our children with poisonous food. And to us now, we are not going to talk to those people who are being killed, or we are not going to talk with them. We are going to talk with those that are celebrities. Not jealousy of anyone who is a celebrity, please. But please, can our country, for goodness sake, we need this more than anything else. Come and talk to us. Come and talk to Shaka people across from where I'm sitting as I'm talking to you. Come and talk to that old lady. Go and talk to that child who's in this cold now without a pair of shoes. Not want to give us another World Cup and calling it, a national conversation. Don't give us the World Cup because we're not going to be able to maintain it after.
My next question now, I think, is very, very important because this is the reality that South Africans have been presented with. This is the route that the presidency decided to embark on. People like yourselves who are on the ground, people like, laymen and women of South Africa who are in the townships and villages of this country. I mean, we saw the horrific images coming out of the Eastern Cape after those floods claimed countless lives. How do you now engage with this? How do you engage with this reality? Do you try and find a way to participate within it? Do you ignore it completely because of how underrepresentative it is of you? What do we do now?
Let me tell you, the understanding in our government is that there are people who know the pain of the people of the Eastern Cape. And the government will decide this is a person who knows that pain. Not the people of the Eastern Cape saying this is the person that we think knows our pain. The government decides. Can I tell you? Look at the whole list of your eminent persons. Some of the people have even been recycled in politics. I can give you names. Read name number 1, Brigala Bam, and tell me, why is that poor old lady still being bothered? Let's just sit down somewhere and relax. She did well in the first elections as a commissioner. Is she brought in now? Why can't you go to the people of the Eastern Cape and say, who do you think can speak on your behalf, can deal with your issues? Not say, we think these people, not saying we think, we're dealing with these people because they played rugby and soccer. They will now, understand your pain. Or they will be better off, to tell us about your pain. And this is also questioning government to say, why we elected you, government? Why are you now running away from us or choosing other people for us? As I was saying, now as we are talking, Netherlands is on fire in Soweto. Why doesn't government go there and say, give us someone who will talk on your behalf and on your issues? I'm sorry, I'm not well at all, but I just had to come out here for this particular interview. All I'm saying is that why do we think government knows people that know our pain, not us, the poor, talking or telling government that these are the people who know our pain? Government thinks he knows us better, very well. No, I know. Kolisi knows very well the pain of the people of the Eastern Cape. And for goodness sake, can government please start coming down to the level of the people and stop running this country on a celebrity note?
Mazibuko, last but not least, before I let you go, as someone who paid a heavy price for the liberation of this country and the democracy of this country, and sacrificing your youth essentially because you believed in the greater cause of freedom, justice, and most importantly, equality for all South Africans to be presented with similar opportunities. Do you sometimes sit back and look at the sacrifices that you've made and think to yourself, was it worth it? Looking at how the government is running things and how Black people in South Africa are still largely marginalized.
My brother, it is my daughter who, just not very long, we took a trip down to Robben Island. And bear in mind that I was in Robben Island, I was just age 16. I hardly had a prison uniform that fitted me. I took my kids to Robben Island to see where I was locked in for 7 years. I took my kids to where the Constitutional Court is now and to say I was in a single cell here in the dark for 18 months in detention without trial. My daughter came out very angry. She said, "Was this worth it? Why did you deserve this? That which you are still seeing happening that you're fighting against?" My daughter says, I don't understand. Really, where were all these people who are in leadership now? Where were they when you guys were inside these cells? When were you guys were on Robben Island? When we are isolated and killed and tortured? Answer you. Not to give you an answer. I wish I had not had time. I wish I had given myself time to enjoy days of my youth rather than fight for this freedom. Because there is nothing that came out of it. And let me tell you, I'm going back to Solomon Mahlangu. Solomon Mahlangu said, "The tree of liberation shall be watered by the blood of the martyrs." Many Black people are not enjoying the fruit of that tree. Many Black people hardly enjoy the shade of that tree. we're receiving the worst of the tree. And we're trying, despite all the pain, to say to young people, there's the light at the end of the tunnel, and sure, it's not an oncoming train. But let me assure you, we're getting discouraged of having to say there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But our young people are not seeing that light. We are not.
And I think we're going to leave on that note. I know you're not feeling well, Mazibuko, but thank you so much for engaging with us. And I can tell you for free that the sacrifices that you guys have made, although it might not seem like they were worth it, but they were indeed. And we appreciate them largely because we sit where we are today. We speak the way we speak. We have the opportunities that we have. It's because of the work that you guys have put in and the sacrifices that you made for this country. So really appreciate it. Thank you. And hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Here you go. Seth Mazibuko, anti-apartheid stalwart and activist. And hey, man, just listening to someone that spent 7 years in Robben Island, was tortured, arrested, fought for this country, gave up their youth, and hearing them say, seeing how things are panning out, I don't feel like it was worth it. Really puts things into perspective, right? Makes you wonder, how did we get to this point when there was so much hope for the indigenous people of this country, to where there's despair? And as Seth Mazibuko put it, people getting tired of saying there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So yeah, as South Africa stands at yet another crossroads, the promise of dialogue may sound reassuring, but for many, it also rings hollow, without action. And whether this new initiative by the president will become a genuine platform for transformation or it'll become just another echo chamber remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the people of this country are no longer interested in symbolic gestures. They want substance, they want urgency, and they want results. The time for talking must lead to a time for doing. That's how we're going to wrap up this interview. You're still listening to News and Views on Salam Media. Stay engaged, stay critical, and most importantly, stay informed. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be having, I think, a very, very important conversation that I think you have to listen to. We spoke to Gazan journalist Abu Bakr Abed, who had to literally make his way out of Gaza because he was a target. He was a target for Mossad. He was a target for the IDF because of how outspoken he was about the injustices that have been committed against the people of Palestine. And he was one of those journalists that were on a list, long list, that essentially the Israeli government wants to murder. So we'll be engaging with that. It's a conversation you don't want to miss after this short break.